really quick again. Sorry, I thought I heard somebody in the waiting room. I did not. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. So as well as the agenda. So we were just going to do introductions for those who maybe didn't know each other, followed by some of our invited guest speakers. Thank you, Allison, for inviting Brian and Devin. And then we also have our lovely co-lead, Eric. And then just followed by some general group updates. We'd love to hear what other organizations are doing. And then just discuss potentially our next meeting time. So welcome. On that, do we want to go ahead and do introductions? I know I kind of just skipped ahead to this guest speaker page, but I don't know you, Devin, or Brian, and I don't think Eric does. So maybe we go ahead and just do that really quick. And I can go ahead and introduce myself first. So my name is Katie Amy. I am with the Kansas City Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative. It is a small initiative over at Children's Mercy, and I support some of our various programs. One is the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan, and within that we have these 10 cell sectors, and one is our Parks and Rec sector, and I am essentially the support for this sector group. So it's lovely to meet everyone. I will go ahead and popcorn to Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Nielsen. So I am the fitness manager at John Knox Village now over in Lee Summit. But previously, like what got me into this group, I was the fitness programmer for the city of Blue Springs, Missouri. I worked in their parks department, oversaw all the fitness programs and stuff that city ran, as well as the community center and all the fitness and stuff that went along with that facility. So I will send it to Brian.
Great. Thank you, Eric, and appreciate that introduction as well. Katie, would love to hear later a little bit more about your coalition, the Parks and Recreation team, and other folks who we all probably know, but didn't, for speaking for myself, didn't know they were on your committee and that you get to work together. So that's pretty cool. Brian Nowotny, Superintendent of Parks and Golf Courses, just coming up just a little past a year, having the opportunity to work with Allison and Devin at JCPRD. I am a career Parks and Recreation professional, started back in 1992, came to the Kansas City area in 2001, first to work in the Northland at Platte County. Most recently, I was deputy director for park operations, not far from Blue Springs and Lee Summit at Jackson County Parks Plus Rec. So drove by, Eric, your facilities many times, and I'm sure Devin did as well from his time at Lee Summit. So that all those career opportunities have given me a great appreciation for the topic here. How do we activate parks? How do we support, maintain activation of our parks? While I came from the natural resources side of our business, went to school to be a landscape architect, and one day just kind of stumbled onto the field of Parks and Rec and was so blessed and so happy, to be able to find this and be able to make a career out of it. I didn't know it was such a thing, when I was young and stupid and in college, that we could all do these things. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's great to be able to, bottom line, make great experiences for people, right? That's why we're here. We want people to have great experiences at our parks, in our programs, and that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And that gets back to activation. I'll also say for Allison's benefit, I love that tension that exists for the folks that come from the operations or the natural resources side, and versus the folks who come from the wellness, in the sports, and the creative arts side of our business, to come together to be able to collaborate to make an outstanding, in our case, thankfully, a gold medal park system, because that's where the magic happens. That's where we come up with new great ideas, when we say, I've got this background, you have that, and we come together with that common goal of giving people great experiences. And so it's a lot of fun, and I'm sure the coalition, Katie, that you outlined helps us to advance more opportunities for people. So thank you for what you do.
I'm Devin Wetzel. I've been here for 7 years at JCPRD as the Assistant Superintendent of Parks and Golf Courses. So I have a a lot of the golf division here with our 2 golf courses, natural resources, and a few other areas. But I was superintendent of parks and forestry for Kansas City, Missouri for 3 years before this. And then with Lee Summit Park Recreation for 9 years before that, was superintendent there. And so superintendent Kansas City, Lee Summit. And before that was in the private golf sector. Did horticulture up at Iowa State. So yeah, I was in Brian's boat. I had no idea that parks was a career until the job came up in Lee Summit. It's like you got someone else now.
Yeah. Hi, Shaya. We are just doing introductions, so you kind of jumped on at the perfect time. Sorry to put you on the spot, but would you mind introducing yourself?
All right. Sorry I don't have a camera. I'm working out of the office, but I'm Shaya Luckett. I am the recreation manager for Wyandotte County Parks and Recreation. And I am currently at our summer camp location helping out and overseeing summer camp. So I apologize if you hear kids screaming or running in the background.
It's all good. That's what it's about.
All right.
Well, thank you everyone for being with us. Allison, I know probably all do know you, but just for the sake of the recording, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Allison Smith. I'm the Corporate Community Wellness Coordinator over here at the Johnson County Park and Recreation District. I do get to work alongside Brian and Devin, not as much as I'd liked, but I do love working with all the PGC folks as well in our district. I do employee wellness, community wellness, corporate wellness. If there's the word wellness in it, I'm probably involved somehow. So, but it's fun. There's variety, and I love it. So, and big shout out to Brian and Devin for hopping on today. I'm very excited to hear more about the activation and getting some of the spots popular again.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So, that kind of led into the perfect segue of what we are going to be doing next. So, Brian, Devin, thank you for joining us. So we kind of wanted to discuss this topic just in recognition of Parks and Rec Month. And so thank you for being here to discuss this topic area. This is very casual, so I don't know if you just wanted to jump in with strategies that have worked for you in activating parks. It is definitely up to you.
Thank you. Well, any context you want to give us kind of as we share a little bit about our experiences and suggestions, please jump in and share that.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of ideas, but Devin, why don't you go ahead and share what you're thinking?
Hold on 1 second. Dealing with one issue real quick there, but
Yeah.
I got Golf Pro Shop thing just popped up. I had to make a couple of responses there. So are we talking about ideas about activation, or what is the specific?
Yeah, we want to explore different ways that we can bring more activity or programming or community engagement into parks that we currently see lower use at. So that's the overall topic area we are wanting to discuss today. Just strategies or tactics that you have seen to work to bring more communities to parks that don't often see a lot of people or foot traffic or programming or yeah.
And whether that be trail development or public art, or even like a new playground or trying to do programming or something in that area.
And it's definitely all kind of opinion, I would say, kind of depending what your interests are. But here for Johnson County, that's not really something we deal with here because we haven't had to try to figure out in my 7 years how do we get more people out in the parks necessarily, because our system here is just next level. With it being gold medal, we have our own staff maintaining most of our areas, and we do have a lot of amenities, but also we have bigger parks. So we really have like 12 or 13 parks. With KCMO, we had the same acreage, but we had 220. So that was an activation deal there, but depending what the nature of the study is, because what we would do in Lee Summit versus Kansas City and Johnson County is really totally different. Kansas City, it was safety and security. That was the biggest thing, is how do we make a place safe that people feel safe to bring their kids to, which was a very big issue. And the things that we did over there with like neighborhood events, park cleanups, clean up all the vandalism and try to like jumpstart a park and get it activated. It was different than anything we've had to do here in Johnson County. So that was one thing that we do, like, you know, in the Blue Valley neighborhood, we would host neighborhood kind of events going on. We would bring out kind of like what we do at a park opening where you might have some activities and all that, whether it's face painting, hot dogs, popcorn, all that. We did that to try to get people to come to the parks because they weren't coming out there. And if we knew if we get more people out there and better lighting, clearing out vegetation and all the invasives so that you could actually see through the park, that was helping. Disc golf was another somewhat of low-hanging fruit to get positive activity out there. And to me, that's a big one. But if someone doesn't like disc golf, you know, they would not necessarily say that. And I like it. I just think it's a good free activity. Having quality trails is a huge one, whether they're, you know, gravel or anything. But they have to, usually it's about like recreation and fresh air and not having a bunch of trash.
And Devin, have you guys worked with any outside community groups on like trail development or even disc golf design? Like any of the disc golf courses? I know down in Emporia, they've got very big disc golf community, and their local store right there goes out and helps the park department to design some of those courses. I didn't know, do we have anyone that does that, or
Yeah.
is that our guys?
Our course gets designed by a guy named Scott Reek usually. But Scott does a ton of charity work. He does a bunch of charity disc golf tournaments. And it's just like a side business he has. And I mean, really, we're hardly paying anything. We pay him hourly. So he doesn't give us a proposal. He'll put 20 hours into something and we have him on hourly. And, you know, he's working on some signs and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's a pretty tight niche group there. With the when discs get found, they go in a box. We actually take it to the local golf shops and they handle calling people that way. If you're playing disc golf and you lose a disc, one of the shops will have it. Their hours are better than ours, and it brings people into their stores.
I
And
didn't
it's
know
all-
you guys did that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Like Dynamic Disc and then one of the other ones. So our staff once a month will just take them all back, drop them off, and then that store will call them to come pick their discs up. But yeah, there's a lot of, you know, that's the about disc golf is in Kansas City, all the disc golf courses were a savior because that brought the positive activity to the parks that were having problems and crime and other groups that we didn't, or that they didn't really want taking the area over and making everybody else want to leave. So disc golf was always one because it really doesn't cost that much and it doesn't have to be anything professional. I mean, the same stuff that you'll see out in schoolyards, it works. But that was probably one of the bigger ones. For another reason with that though is that because you can find volunteers to work at the disc golf course and it doesn't take a lot of money or skill or talent.
And for the trails, I know since you guys work with Scott for the disc golf, is there a group that you guys work with like trail development, or I know we've got some trail guys on staff.
Urban Trail Co. is a big one we work with, and Derek was the president. We have our trail guys, and but still a lot of them are maintained by volunteers. And that's the, you know, UTC is another one too. That's like in Kansas City, the Blue River area. UTC is the only reason that the Blue River area is like pretty much safe for anybody to go to and be able to hike is because the amount of volunteers, if you can empower them and let them do things that they want to do in the right way, then that helps a lot also. But UTC and like Kansas City Disc Club was like the two biggest groups that helped us out in Kansas City parks. In Lee Summit, it was more about having nice playgrounds. They didn't need to be huge, but they had to be safe. And swings is always a big drop. We kind of learned there that if every playground needs to have swings, if you want people to be happy, and they're used for every age, every group. But they can end up getting expensive now because of the safety surfacing, how far you have to have it, and how spread out.
That makes sense.
Simple but true. Those simple, basic amenities that gets a child interacting with their parent or grandparent. Those are building blocks. Of a successful park and park system.
And then I know, Brian, that since you mentioned gets kids out with parents and whatnot, the Wii Links course out at Heritage Park, that thing is cool. And I know that we've always been trying to grow the sport of golf, but Devin or Brian, can you guys talk about the Wii Links course at all and kind of what that is and how that's set up? I'm posting links in the chat, so folks can reference that later.
We're gonna be doing a lot more with it soon, but we had the Watson Foundation essentially we had some good networking with them, and some people wanted to try out this little deal. So it's 6 holes, but 9 because they're shared greens, and it's something that anybody can go out and do. Because golf courses generally, you got to be over 6 years old to be able to get on the course. So you can come in younger than that. We were going to make it free, but we wanted to make sure that we could like track some of the usage. So it's like $2 or something like that. You can play all day. And it's kind of like in between, like miniature golf, and there's not another step up yet, but there'll be one soon. In North Kansas City, they're coming out with like the pickleball of golf. Kind of like an in between where you only use one club, and that's kind of what this is you could pretty much use 2 clubs or 1 club and you could get through in 20 minutes if you wanted to, but it's just another area for like parents to have their kids out there. And then we invited all the camps to come out and use it for free with the counselors, and it worked all right. It's just some of if the counselor didn't want to like help teach golf, then it didn't work real well. But yeah, it's a pretty cool place.
That's awesome. And I know it's a lot more affordable, not to bash on Topgolf. Love Topgolf. But if you've got littles, that's always a cool place to go, is just to take them out to the Wii Links course out at Heritage.
But Allison, look at what those 2 have in common. 2 very different golf experiences, or you could even call it on the margins of golf experiences.
True.
They're accessible, right? You don't have to be, a great golfer, like Devin is, to come out and enjoy, top golf.
Allison
You and
wants
I
to
can go
smoke
out
right
there
now.
and still have a great time. Or if you want to have a young child and introduce them to it, you can go to the Wii Links. That's what's cool about, some of these amenities we're talking about, is they have a very low barrier. They're very welcoming, not intimidating. Because if you're not a golfer, you're a golfer wanting to get better, that might be intimidating for some going out there, with all those, more accomplished players. Just to choose one sport. Yeah.
That is true. I love that.
Yeah. There are probably, yeah, go ahead, Deb.
No, I was just saying, the other big one is just open up these areas. Honeysuckle, and I'm over the natural resources also, but it's not just because of that, but whether or not you really know or care about natural resources and stuff, but the invasive honeysuckle is pretty much, it's a problem for us, but it's more environmental, but it's a serious problem in the inner city parks. But like there was a park, and they renamed it Yvonne Starks Wilson Park, and it's basically off like Stadium Drive. And we did a thing called a park blitz there that basically our 100+ staff there, KC Parks, basically everyone available would go there and just do a blitz, and everybody there would work. And really, there wasn't much going on in that park, but what we had to do was clear out all the invasives, because that's where illegal dumping would happen, is all in the honeysuckle. That's where the encampments occur, because you can't see them from anywhere. But as soon as you clear out all that stuff and you can visually see through the park and see the neighboring roads, that is when the use would start picking up. But it's just it's considered dangerous if you can't walk on a trail and be seen anywhere.
Yes, I will agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, I do have, Brian and Devin, this is kind of a question for you guys. Out of all the parks that JCPRD has, which one is your favorite and why? I don't know.
You might as well ask me what my favorite barbecue in Kansas City is, Allison. You
It's
get
hard.
the same answer. We got all kinds of favorites. We love lots of different parks for lots of different reasons.
Yep.
But I will say on the personal note that don't golf, but I do like to ride my bike. I've always enjoyed getting out and riding bikes. So the parts of our park system that I like to use are our trails, our paved trails.
No mountain bike for you?
No mountain biking.
I'm not allowed to.
Leave that to Jeff and others. I'll stay on the paved trails.
Same. That's my jam right there. I'm not allowed to mountain bike. I'm too accident prone. So
Get too dangerous. There you go. What about you, Devin?
Lexington's up there, that's for sure.
Mhm.
You know, and it's wild, but I mean, obviously Shawnee Mission too, but so many of ours are kind of like the same kind of, you know, same kind of setup with the nature. And for a few years, I've gone to one of the Shawnee Mission high schools and talked about like the importance of parks and how in daily life and all that type of stuff. And it was always wild because in my presentation, I'd have pictures of just stuff in our parks. I mean, like bald eagle and stuff like that. And it is like these kids that are only 10 minutes from Shawnee Mission Park were like, where is that? I was like, Shawnee Mission Park. They're like, where's that? And it's kind of crazy. It's like, how have you never seen a bald eagle? Like, how have you never, this park is 10 minutes from you. It isn't, you know, and this is not the urban core where people don't have modes and, you know, aren't getting around and all that stuff. So it's kind of wild what people don't
Yeah.
see, but Lexington is one of those parks. Again, you pull into it. Yeah, there's a ton of nature, but it's open. You can see the lake, you can see migrating birds and wildlife and all that stuff. And it's pretty awesome.
It's
nice.
a nice one. Really good single track trails out of Lexington that you can walk on. You don't have to have a mountain bike. You can walk on all the single track trails. And it's a really nice hike.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I can-
with your whole program, are you partnering with any specific parks department?
For the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan or the sporting
Yeah.
sector?
Yeah,
Katie, I'm
The,
gonna let you answer that one.
the Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative.
Yeah.
So we essentially like bring a bunch of different park departments together. So yeah, we don't like have one particular partnership. I mean, Allison's been our co-lead for our, well, she was the lead like alone for a while, but co-lead for how long, Allison? Because I've been with 4 years now with the KCHLC. And I
Uh,
believe,
it was before you got here. So
yeah,
I think I joined like my first year of JCPRD, so 2019? Long enough.
yeah, a minute. Because I know when the plan was created, Roosevelt with Jackson County, so Kansas City, Missouri Parks and Rec, he was the lead at the time. So we had a good relationship with Missouri Parks. And then they've just had a lot of staff turnover. And then since then, they've really expanded to include, I mean, like we've got Johnson County, there's Wyandotte, there was Blue Springs, Merriam Parks. Didn't we have somebody from Gardner at one point?
We did, yeah. We had Jason
Yeah.
from Gardner. We've had a lot of different
Yeah,
park and rec groups, and this is just kind of designed to be a resource, a free resource, and a chance to network and share ideas and different things. Very similar to the community health network that the health department runs for Johnson County. So
Gotcha.
just to share resources and grant information to help educate people, but we're trying to branch out to where it's not just Parks and Rec, to where it is all recreation. So like YMCA's or Eric, the place that you're at now as well.
John Knox.
Yeah, John Knox, so retirement communities that offer, because the whole idea is this is the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. So what are we doing in all these different sector groups to promote physical activity? So that's what brought me into it when I was the fitness programmer in Blue Springs. Obviously, everything I did was physically active stuff. So now that I'm in like a retirement community, I'm still overseeing physical activity and outdoor recreation, just in a different kind of lens, you know. But then expanding the group a little bit will kind of open the door to like all those Genesis health clubs that do a bunch of different stuff that's all still promoting physical activity. Katie, what I was going to ask, I don't know if you have access to the map that shows kind of the 4-county footprint of like what the plan is kind of focused on. I
Yeah,
think that might kind of answer Devin's question a little bit of like where we're kind of targeting all these sector groups.
yeah.
So,
I know
and-
that there's one in the plan, so let me pull it up.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking of.
And then also, this group came about based off of the National Physical Activity Plan, the report card. So Kansas City had like a D- on the physical activity report card, and they had such low stats.
Who got
of
D
people-
minus? Which place?
KC.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
KC is like a metropolitan area.
Yeah. So they had a group activity, but the indicators that they were grading on were like overall physical activity, active transportation, organized sport participation, active play, sedentary behaviors, sleep, physical fitness, family and peers, school, early care and education settings, and community built environment. So there's the kind of the region that we are targeting on trying to help make those positive changes to get a better report card.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And currently we've got a whole lot of C's and D's. So we do have a B on early care and education settings though, so that's exciting.
There you go. Something to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of something that we try and do as a group because we understand looking at the bigger picture, we want people to move more. In Parks and Rec, that's one of our mission statements, is, hey, we want to support healthy lifestyles for our residents and those in the area. And that's very similar to the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan and the Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative is healthy lifestyles. Here are resources. So
That's
Yeah.
great.
Same for me
It's
here,
not talked
even
about
as
enough.
We also work on projects together. So while we like to provide resources and we also, a great example is our sports sector. They worked with Aspen Institute to do a state of play report on the state of play within Kansas City. And actually that report helped with something that this sector is working on, which is hosting an adaptive recreation sports summit later in this October. So we do more than just like have these monthly meetings. We do try and advance the work by getting together and making progress in some kind of other format, like whether it be a project or hosting a summit to provide resources on a different kind of scale. So
I know we've had Jeff Stewart, our executive director of JCPRD. He's been out to some of the Aspen Institute meetings as well, community groups on youth sports. And he's presented on what JCPRD's done for the World Cup and what we plan to do going forward with a lot of that sports activation as well. It's been super cool. It's great. It is vast, very broad category. So, but at the end of it, we always try and go towards our goals and objectives and create projects to help meet the needs to overall better that report card.
which we should be having a new report card later this year released. So that's exciting. Yep.
Can't wait to
And
see
does
it.
And does this group help manage that report card and provide input and data to help kind of see, okay, how are we doing? That's part of the responsibilities of the coalition. Okay. Okay. Good
Yeah,
to know.
my coworker right now is gathering all the data sources and assessing those with past indicators we used and current ones that were I'm not actively involved in what she's doing, but I know we'll have new ones to include based off of, I think it was the community health needs assessment from Children's Mercy. There were some other questions that really pertain to our focus area. So I know that information will be used in some way as well. So
And a
yeah.
lot of these community health improvement plans that all hospitals are required to do and health departments, we're seeing a lot of the same trending issues is transportation and physical activity and just resources as well. So that kind of helps us guide our goals and objectives of what can we do to get people into these spaces to recreate and exercise for free or at cost, and how do we get them there safely? So
Yeah, so working with Kansas City, there was, because they built the Swamp Athletic Complex, which the agreements in place didn't really happen for what it was supposed to do. So one agreement, I'll speak kind of freely because things I'm sure have changed, but like Brookside Soccer had like an agreement with the city, and it was like provide obviously just use sports the way they are anyways. But they were supposed to provide so much for, the people that can't afford it versus the people that would pay to be in the competitive leagues. And it really didn't happen. And then all they'd have to say is, in other groups saying it's not just them, but it's like, well, we'll provide this. But it was like, well, that's at Swope Park and not everybody's getting out there. But if there was ever a way that you could have like Pee Wee type youth events in their parks and the other, 100 parks that are around neighborhood parks that nothing goes in on because nobody was really doing in like soccer, football, or anything for no cost, or that's where the grants should be. But I feel like all those grants just get eaten up by the companies that just turn it back into what it's already been doing, and you got to drive 10 minutes there. But I know from experience that the majority of the people in the parks that we were at didn't have transportation, period. I mean, that was the last thing on their mom's mind was how to get to practice, and they sure weren't going to pay for it. But there, you'd see these pop up like training sessions and stuff, but it was all a money grab after one free thing. Then they were going to get something out of it. But yeah, if there was a way to go into some of those parks that are actually in the neighborhoods, Cleveland Park area and Holmes Park and all those areas where people could actually walk there and recreate with some kind of structured direction, that'd be a huge thing, but very difficult to do.
and Devin and Brian, just with your vast history with parks, have you guys seen I know the fitness courts, the National Fitness Court campaign had a whole thing. Are you seeing more and more fitness courts and or just fitness trails popping up?
As in like the ninja type warrior, or just like exercise equipment along the trail?
Exercise equipment along the trail, just like spaces for people to exercise.
I like it, and I've seen success with it. The mindset here in Johnson County was they would put them all together. And Overland Park, Onion D Creek Trail, they spread them out. Mill Creek Park, they were spread out, and that got heavy use. But also, I think a lot of times the people that are using that aren't being active and they're out on the trails. It's like a community garden. If it's more than a few minutes away, they don't work overtime. And so same with like, I think they have stats on a gym. You're only going to drive 10 minutes. People that will stay going to a gym, it's like a 10-minute drive. They've done that math on that, but I think they work out well. Someone sent us some information a while ago, and our response from our planning was that wasn't in the master plan. We're not really interested. But I was like, well, you didn't ask if they wanted exercise equipment on a trail, and they didn't say no. So I don't know if I would go there because Parks and Recreation is so, trends up and down. But I think they're nice. My kids liked them, but we're already active, so I don't know if it would make anybody active later on or not. But at Heritage Park in Meadowbrook, we do have them, but they are in a circuit, so you're kind of hanging out in the same area.
I wouldn't say I've seen a lot of new development. Would you, Devin? Are you seeing a lot more of those coming along? Not just us, but across the metro.
I haven't seen a big blow up from it. Seems kind of consistent. I don't think they're like, becoming less popular though.
Well, and I know the National Fitness Court campaign, they ran a push because they approached JC Purity, but it was not the best time for us because we were already transitioning, adding on more land. So we referred them to the city of Shawnee based on, records and data from the health department. Hey, this group needs something. So city of Shawnee got it. They also had, and Shea, I think, did your park and rec department get one as well too up there?
Yeah, we have two. two fitness courts, and they're pretty well utilized. One of them is at Wyandotte County Lake Park, and it's right next to the pickleball courts. So I think that helps. You have user groups who will come out there, and that area is really active. The other is at a park, St. Margaret's, and it's not used as frequently. We've had a few programming opportunities there, but you do see random people here and there utilizing it. But the one at Wyandotte County Lake Park is used very frequently, and I just think it's due to the location.
Fair. Well, and I know a lot of those fitness courts have been funded by, because I believe the one out at Heritage Park, that was funded by Advent Health. Devin, do you recall? Or Brian, do you recall on that one?
You're right.
Advent's been popular, yeah.
Yeah, and then I know Blue Cross and Blue Shield has been big for the Kansas side for the National Fitness Campaign. And then I believe, Shaya, do you remember, did Justine get one over in Bonner Springs? They got one over there as well.
They have one as well, yes.
Okay, yeah, because there were multiple that popped up just within the last year or two.
I can actually talk to that a little bit. I don't know what I had to step away for a second, so I don't know what I missed. But so when I was in Blue Springs, I was really trying to push something like that. Obviously, like I was the fitness guy, so that was kind of like we didn't have anything like that in Blue Springs. And here in Lee Summit, like Lee Summit Parks and Rec, they've got Lowenstein Park, which is like across the street from where I work now. They've kind of got something like that. It's not quite the National Fitness Campaign court, but it's a whole kind of fitness series, kind of like what you guys were talking about that they do on the trails, or they kind of group it all together. So in Blue Springs, I was looking at trying to do something like that. So I met with the National Fitness Campaign multiple times on potentially putting a court in one of our parks that's right off the highway. There's also Compin. If you're aware of Compin, it's like the equipment manufacturing brand. They're trying to compete with the National Fitness Campaign, so they have their own version of it now too. I forgot what they call it. It's like the cube or something like that. It's essentially the same idea where it's a square that's like a pretty standard thing that's got like the QR code, just like the National Fitness Campaign. It's priced similarly. It's grant backed, just like the National Fitness Campaign. So it's a matching grant. So if you can get a group like Blue Cross Blue Shield, or like for me in Blue Springs, I was trying to get the Chiefs to fund it because we were like right off the highway, so they could throw their logo right on the side of the highway and be like, "Hey, here's this." Same idea, but there's multiple companies now trying to do essentially the same thing as National Fitness Campaign. What's the other one? Lifestyles Architecture, I think is the other one. They do a lot of like Parks and Rec playground equipment. Like they have their own version now too. There's a whole bunch of different lines of like the outdoor fitness equipment kind of coming to the fruition.
Which it's a great idea, but on the maintenance side, what does the maintenance look like on those courts?
It depends on which one you buy.
Okay.
National Fitness Campaign, there's literally only one moving part, and it's like the pull-up bar. Got like some like kind of rings to it. So every now and then that might wear out, but the rest of it, there's nothing really to break unless it gets like truly vandalized. Compins had a lot more moving parts, but it was kind of cool. They had like actual true like ellipticals and like recumbent bikes and stuff that were all like magnetic based. So like you could adjust the resistance by adjusting a lever, and it was all magnets. There was no actual power or computer or anything to it. I would assume those would wear out at some point. I have no idea. We never actually got to the point of installing any of these things before I left. I just kept having meetings about pricing and stuff like that. I know Compin specifically, from talking to their rep a few times, they built it to try to make it as bomb-proof as possible so that there wouldn't be a ton of maintenance. But obviously, just like everything, like stuff breaks, people find ways to break things.
Well, and Noelle's in Riverside, and she's pretty awesome to work with. And I was with Kansas City when they were working on getting theirs, and so they've had theirs for over 7 years. It's right next to their city hall and next to their pool. But it's been in there over 7 years. I know that. So Noelle would be a good person to reach out to about it. But
Shay,
I
I
can
have-
ask her because they don't have parks department. It's pretty much probably just public works / park workers, but I could find out if you want.
Shaya, how's the fitness court going in maintenance on your end?
So I have not heard of any issues. I don't oversee that as much, but as far as like when we have our operations meetings with our maintenance team, they have not brought up any real issues. And I know ours have been installed for probably close to 4 years, if not longer.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. That's awesome. Hey, Brian and Devin, all that land we got at Kill Creek, do we want to add one out there?
There's space for it at least.
They're
Right.
not cheap.
I'm not hearing a no.
Always need to be open to diverse opportunities to get people in our parks for different ways, right? That's what activation's all about, trying to provide as much as you can and lean on your partners, whether it's your municipal partner between a county and a city or a nonprofit or other organization that may be better suited to activate it or try something new.
That is very well put.
We always think the ninja course thing is pretty awesome. We were getting ready to do that in Lee Summit too, because we kind of had like an activity park at Lee McKeegan on one of the sides of it. But yeah, the Ninja Warrior course stuff is awesome. But I haven't really seen anybody do it. I know that it probably, no matter what, the maintenance be tough, but I think those are pretty awesome.
I think it's Greenfields Fitness is
Yep.
who's been really pushing it. I keep seeing it in the Parks and Rec magazines.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones out there, which is very exciting. I love it.
I don't think
All
they'll
right.
let me put that in John Knox Village.
Oh yeah, no, very well used where you're at, Eric.
Oh yeah.
Well, does anyone else have any
Lenexa
Great.
City Center is building the Ninja Warrior style obstacle course and playground at City Center.
oh yeah, I
There you
saw
go.
that.
But
Oh,
I haven't seen
Interesting.
anything with it yet.
Nice. Well, I know we're getting close on time, but does anyone else have any final thoughts or great success stories or wild ideas on activation for parks and how to get people there?
I don't know if it's a wild idea, but one thing that I did in Blue Springs that I thought was at least worth mentioning was partnering with local like fitness studios. So Megan's Yoga Tribe, I don't know if you've heard of them or not. It's like a local yoga chain, I guess now. They do free yoga in the park on the weekends all summer. So like they do one in Lee Summit at their new kind of like farmers market area that they built in Lee Summit. So we reached out to them in Blue Springs too, and essentially in Blue Springs, what we were doing, and still are doing all summer, every month was going to highlight a different local studio. So there's going to be a free class for the community. They can bring all their flyers. We're going to co-brand everything and co-market everything. So it wasn't just like my trainers teaching classes in the parks. It was now we're showing like, hey, here's all these other fitness resources, but we were doing them in parks that again were like not super utilized. So we were trying to bring people to the park and show like, hey, you could use this space for this, but also here's this Pilates studio that is down the street, or here's this like there's a gym called Trinity Wellness in Blue Springs that their niche that they focus on is post physical therapy, occupational therapy, but pre like independent exercise. They're like the bridge. That's what they focus on. So like we had them come out and do a class on kind of how to do that transition and stuff.
That's awesome.
So that was a cool one.
Nice.
I think I'll just kind of echo some of what Devin said. I think from his experiences over in Kansas City, Missouri, I think one of the things that we've seen a lot of success with is when we've added new amenities to our parks over the last couple of years. A lot of our parks have been updated through grant funding with new trails. I know a couple meetings ago I shared our soccer field that we were able to update. And when we've added those amenities, the neighborhoods have taken pride in those parks. There's a neighbor across from one of the basketball courts. He goes out and picks up water bottles and Gatorade bottles, and he'll let us know if something's happening that shouldn't be happening in that park. So just by updating the amenities, which takes funding to do, but you start to get a sense of pride, community pride back in the parks. And one of the things that I feel is really cool is when we do add art into those updates, there's an even greater sense of pride because you don't find the graffiti and the things like that when there's art installations in the park as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and with Kansas City, so kind of how it comes up with public requests for investment, and a big part of parks too was they have a PI Act there. So the Public Improvement Advisory Committee. But honestly, it's like the people that have the time to write up these plans and requests that are very formal and well written. And then, they have the time to go to these meetings and sit there, state their case and all that. A lot of times the park projects ended up putting more money back into the parks that already were in like the Waldo, Brookside area. Because the people in the urban core, they're just like, I don't have time to like go and mess with this government process of like how to request funds and all that stuff too. So some of those parks, it was like they needed to have a couple local residents that were very strong-willed that got to pull on the right people to put some information out there. But sometimes it's like if you got to kind of almost work around some of that Kansas City, Missouri process and try to work with somebody that could do grants and then bring it to the city so they can't say no.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of our parks partner with the local like nonprofit corporation. They became the community voice for that park and got the stakeholders to the table, found a lot of the funding for us, and then we were able to match it and do, a nice investment in that park. But they kind of took the lead versus city officials coming saying, hey, this is what we want to do. It came from the voices in the neighborhood.
It'd make a real difference if they're sustainable, if they stay after it.
It does. We have to bring them back into reality sometimes. Like, hey, this is not possible, but we can do this. We can do swings, not spaceships. So
Right.
But I do think it never happened that I've seen, but if there was a way for someone to get a grant and hire like a Davy Tree Care or like some of those big companies that can do like, tree trimming, clearing, brush cleanup and stuff, I think that could have as much of an impact. And yeah, it might not get maintained consistently going forward, but it's as much of a start as where a lot of that grant money ends up going sometimes.
Well, I need to jump off for another meeting, but thank you for inviting me to the conversation. It was great to meet all of you.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you got it. See you soon.
See ya.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Katie, I think that is because we're right at 1:59, so to be
Yeah.
mindful of everyone's time. Devin,
Question.
Oh yeah, you have a question? Sorry.
It's for Shea. It was just about the St. Margaret's Park. Was that grant funded, those improvements? I used to live over there and the renovations look absolutely stunning. I was just wondering how that came about.
thank you. The newest ones like the KCK sign and the pickleball courts,
Yeah.
or not pickleball, futsal courts. So part of it is grant funding, part of it is our general funds. So one thing I will say our director is really amazing at doing is finding money to go with money on top of money. Like she writes a grant and then finds a grant to match that grant and builds up on top of it. So I'm not 100% sure. I could look it up and I could send it over to you, but I do believe the majority of that is grant funded. I know the futsal court was through our collaboration with Sporting KC. So it
Yeah.
has the FIFA logo on it. The playground, we did ourselves. The trail was grant funded. And then the KCK horticultural flower bed that's on the hill.
Yeah.
Have you, that part was done by our horticulture team. And we're pretty excited to see that grow in.
Just so everyone can see what I'm looking at, because I swear I thought I saw a news story and I'm struggling, but I know about the post. So
That's
cool.
yeah. This is the bed. I'll stop sharing. They had a grand opening on National Hot Dog Day, so that's what they were doing.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we got to take some of our summer camp kids there. It was fun. They were excited to be some of the first to play on the playground.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, well, I
Yeah,
don't
if you
want to.
need
Oh,
any,
sorry, go ahead.
no, if you need any help in the future, don't hesitate to reach out if you want me to. I know lots of the park manager people around the whole metro, so
No, yeah, you sound like you do for sure, especially, I mean, being with two other parks, like that's amazing. So, did you know Jen Jute when you were over in Jackson? Okay.
yeah.
She used to be one of our co-leads too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people over there. Just most of them aren't there anymore.
Yeah. Maybe next time we meet, I wanted to ask about staffing. Because I met with Kent, the new recreation manager over at KCMO Parks, and that was one of their biggest issues with trying to like provide more park access to help engage park use, but they don't have people to help run any programs, so they're not really able to provide much because staffing is
Yeah.
one of the biggest problems. So
Yeah, and it's a tough world because if you are good at that stuff, you're gonna get paid, and everybody ends up chasing the money. And you can't blame these people that if you don't have a lot of money, you don't make a lot of money, especially over Casey Parks, they're not making any money. And if you're really good, in Brookside Soccer Club will pay you so much money to train those kids, that's what you're gonna do. So it's a tough thing.
yeah,
But yeah, well, let me know if you need anything else.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Devin.
See y'all.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shaya.
Bye. You're welcome.